Foxconn and see how it managed to control the labor force. So look at the CEO, Terry Goh. Terry Goh always says that. Terry Goh has 101 saying. so I mean, the ego of Terry Goh is so huge. So it's compared to like Mao Zedong because we have sayings. So Terry Goh produced his own small books, so distributed to every workers. So one of it, they say this like, a leader must have the decisive courage to be a dictator for the common good. I mean, here we talk about commons. I mean, for the Apple and Foxconn also talk about commons, but they say a dictator for the common. So absolute obedience, I mean, is the ethos of the company. And it put those slogans in the walls of their factories and also the steps. So each step we have each slogan. So it states that outside the lab there is no high tech, only execution of discipline. And what is ironic is that Foxconn workers were asked to sign a document saying that they're not going to commit suicide. Then the workers protest. The workers said, we can't sign this because what kind of legal status this document it is. So all the workers refused to sign this document. But Terry Goh arranged a number of cultural activities, even though not like this. But they also have cultural activities and ask the workers to wear the T-shirt like this. So I love Foxconn, I love Terry Goh. Terry Goh is a good father. So they have very in different kind of Foxconn context. But I'm going to tell you, if Foxconn would like to imagine a highly centralized control over 1 million workers, I would say it is a project of impossible. Simply because what? Simply because of the huge number of the working class. They don't give you consent. I mean, probably you are not familiar in the field of sociology. There's sociology talking about manufacturing consents. Manufacturing consents in USA because they would like to explain why the working class in America and also the working class in the European, you don't go and fight. Simply because your workers already hand over your consent to the capital. But according to my study, even not that long, but at least more than 10 years, I mean, on my daily interaction of the workers, none of the workers give consent, any sense of consent to the company. So if you don't give any consent, I mean, to the
slower, please.
Okay. So if you don't give any consent to your company, to your boss, how can your boss control over you? Especially when the workforce is a mobile one. You move around. So it's impossible for them to really enforce, that kind of degree of control over the body of the workers. But still, when we talk to the Foxconn managers, they always will tell you that if you are me, how can you control the workers? You have to imagine one single factory in China, Foxconn in China, the typical one is 100,000. In Shenzhen is 300,000. So they're all housed in one single campus, even though with different kind of buildings, or they divide it into different business units. This business units means what? Means that this unit you produce for Apple, this unit you produce for HP, this unit you produce for Samsung. But it doesn't matter. The system is a centralizing system. That means that the recruitment is centralized. The dormitory base allocated to the workers is centralized. And even the food supply, you have to imagine how this kind of mega factory can be run. You have lunch hour is 1 hour, isn't it? So how can you provide food to 300,000 within 1 hour time. If you are a manager, you tell me. So they have their own excuses. They have their own mentality to convince you. They really need to enforce discipline. Otherwise, it's impossible to control. So if you have a chance to visit their canteen, it's not a normal canteen. The canteen is I would say, is the world's largest canteen. So the canteen operates like a production line. One floor produce noodle. So they have a production line, to provide the food boxes. One line is for rice. One floor is for vegetable. One floor is for meat. So everybody queue up and it's all organized. The daily life, the food provision is organized into the assembly line. And you have to be very effective because within 1 hour, all the workers have to go back to work. And then it's just-in-time production. Apple give you 80 hours, but give you 80 days in order to produce iPad 2. So if you look at it from the side of management, you can see how eager they try to build up a centralizing controlling system. But again, I'm going to tell you, if you are the workers, if you don't agree to this system, you will not really buy into it. So that's why when you join Foxconn, when you expect a higher wage, then you stay for a few months. Then you are not happy. Then you hate the system. Then you leave. That's the majority of the workers they're doing at the moment. But I'm going to tell you, suicide obviously is not the only response. All people last year saying that Foxconn worker commit suicide and Hong Kong workers strike. I'm telling you this is not the true picture because if it's under the same rules of capitalist production, how come Foxconn workers strike and how come the Hong Kong workers strike and not the Foxconn? It's simply because it was not reported. It was simply because it was not known. That's why our research team pay extra attention to observe how workers can really fight back. So even though it was not really that kind of encouraging, but at least we find a few numbers of protests and few numbers of strikes. When we go Chengdu, the workplace produce iPhone, the workers, instead of dropping themselves, they drop bottles. They drop bottles for 5 days continuously. They didn't put up any kind of demand. They don't tell you what they want. They just drop the bottles from the dormitory. After 5 days, the management increased the wage, even though slightly. 50 yuan is like €5 a month. Then they stop dropping the bottles. How to improve the food quality? Like once they had 30 numbered workers surround the door of the canteen. That makes a huge, it's a big event because if you are in a company of 1,000 workers, then your protest will not be successful, I tell you, because it's easier for them to solve the lunch, the meal, and the issue for the workers. They just ask them to go out and then you come back again. But if you have a factory of over 100,000 workers, it's impossible to ask all the workers to go out and take food back on their own. So they immediately negotiate the workers, and next day they improve the food quality. That's simple, because the workers show their power. And because of Foxconn spread out the news that they're going to increase the wage, but in reality, it doesn't.